I was born in 1942, right in the middle of the war. Nobody locked their doors. Everybody went to church. It was pretty easy. We just played ball in the backyard. My brother was 2 years older, and we kept bugging our dad about, it would really be nice to have a swimming hole. So after we bugged him for a while, he said, sure, that's fine. He says, you dig it, and then I'll get it cemented and we'll have a pool. So my brother and I got out there with our shovels and our picks and our wheelbarrow, and then it was clay, shale rock. It was tough. We dug that thing for 3 months. My father finally gave in, and he went and got a backhoe, and in about a day, he finished it off. You never were given money. I had to earn it. If I wanted a bicycle, my brother and I earned some money, and we bought our bicycles. I never wanted to sit around and do nothing. I mean, maybe that was what was really instilled in me as a child. I kept on working, even as I went to college. I did a little janitorial work. I worked at a flower shop, tried to get some extra money through college. As soon as I got out of college, I decided I needed some more education. Went to work at B.F. Goodrich Company in Akron, Ohio. Worked during the day at B.F. Goodrich, went 4 nights. Didn't have much of a social life, because it was all about work and school. In 1965, I had the opportunity at B.F. Goodrich to be working for the treasurer. And so I got very much involved in investments, and some people started to recognize that. The first person I really helped that actually paid me to give them some advice was a lady there. It was more of a consulting kind of thing until I got here to Cincinnati in 1970. And I didn't know anybody in this city except the chairman of the Department of Finance that hired me at the University of Cincinnati. But more and more people heard that I might be able to help them, and I don't know, maybe it was that there was a professor in town that could help them with investments, because I was teaching investments. Because everybody in those days was a broker, insurance agent, whatever. I was really doing kind of more holistic financial planning.
Tim and I actually met a very long time ago. Our parents were good friends. They attended a small church in Pittsburgh. We reconnected years later. He was finishing school in Illinois. I was working in Boston. Our first stop, if you will, as a married couple was in Cincinnati.
I'd tuck the kids in bed at 7:30 at night, and then from 7:30 to 11, the research department was open. I'd read the research because I had to buy or sell stocks or do something the next day.
I think even my kids remember October 19th, 1987 was our daughter's 11th birthday. I heard on the news that the market had really crashed. Well, he walked in and we celebrated birthday. For me, that was a good example of him being able to really separate out his home life from his work life. I think our kids even saw that Dad came home and he was Dad.
The main benefit of being able to do that is who I married. My wife she was trained as a nurse. She became head nurse at Good Samaritan Hospital here in Cincinnati. But she said, I'd like to raise these children. And so she gave up that career. Therefore, this business clearly wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her. This is a partnership that allowed this to happen. But it was never my plan. I was just going to be a professor all my life. I went from assistant to associate to full prof. I wrote books and articles and did all those things that are important to do. So I had 2 full-time jobs. This little side business I had got nicely out of hand, I guess. As I look back at my business cards, I noticed that I don't even have my title on there, I figured if they didn't know who I was, I did a lousy job of introducing myself. So I went along, and I did this out of my house till 1980. And then we were having our 4th child. It was getting a little crowded in there. I had Pam Thompson working for me at the house for a couple of years. She was the number 1 graduate in the finance program at the University of Cincinnati. She was great person.
I took Tim's personal finance course my sophomore year in college, and he hooked me. He's a great professor. When I first started working For Tim, we had no computers. It was before computers. And we had a book that we would enter all stock trades, dividends, interest payments for each client, and run a ledger by hand. As the business grew, that's when Tim decided we probably should look elsewhere instead of being in his home.
Pam became a wonderful friend and even helped me occasionally with the kids, and so I don't regret that it started in the home.
Once we decided to move out of the house and look a little bit more like a stable business, I hired my first person that had worked at another firm, Scott Mulhauser.
In 1983, Tim had moved out of his house into a small office in his neighborhood, and that was the start of kind of a brand new, exciting opportunity for me.
And it was wonderful. It was Pam and myself and Scott, and then by then we had a receptionist. And the business started growing, and people would come in, and we had prospect flow, and we kind of not a very nice building that we were in. We couldn't afford much. And they came in the 80s and 90s. I mean, they were coming in fast. We never did any marketing. I mean, it was just word of mouth.
Tim's primary focus was not the bottom line. It was to do the right thing, to help people. I was just totally sold. I was happy to be at a place where I could just focus on doing the right thing and not having to explain whether it was the most profitable thing.
Probably one of the best decisions I ever made way back when was never to be licensed to sell a commission-based product. I always thought that kind of confused the relationship. You got to buy something so I can eat tonight. And we've titled our firm Johnson Investment Counsel. Counsel is really the important word there. We want to provide counsel to people, whatever the subject is. It's amazing the conversations you can get involved with clients. Very emotional kinds of things. So there's lots of things to talk about besides what stock and bond am I going to buy and asset allocation. Those are very important subjects. But there's a lot of things that go into a relationship. And I think for a lot of our clients, we know things that a lot of the family members don't know. I mean, we become confidants for a lot of people. By the year 2000, it became pretty obvious to me that the company was really starting to grow. I mean, we were getting a reputation finally that we were not just passing through town or something. And I decided at that time I needed to be sure to work on two main tasks, which was management succession at all levels of the company and ownership succession. Effective October 1st of 2001, I brought in 15 other owners, so there were 16 of us. And about that time, the teaching, I felt I needed to basically relinquish most of that. This was getting really very, very time-consuming, and lots of clients that we had. And now, we have clients in 49 states. Nobody in North Dakota yet. Today I'm speaking in the year 2022. We have 155 employees and I think about 45 owners. Imagine 18 billion, and I don't know. It's just, my whole goal was just to help more people. Now that I'm an older person, some would say an old person, I'm now over 80 years of age. Now's the time to continue to help other people.
And that's really what I think Tim and I are about in these days, is how do we finish well? How do we, in whatever remaining years we have, that's important to us to be able to finish well. I think he's created a good team. He sometimes will say kiddingly, if people don't remember who Tim Johnson is, that's fine. But I hope they will remember what Johnson Investment has been able to contribute to the life of their family. And that really, I think, would be his legacy.